Good Guy Activism claims he was only holding a bottle of water, and the police will pay for his New Year's Eve arrest. Rallies troops to get DavidNewYork out of jail. Hendry dominates the crowd-sourcing charts again. Will his streak finally end? Plus, Floyd Wallace is in Brazil. Is he up to his neck in women, or is he all alone complaining about the country in front of his livestream? Bro, you had to guess? All this and more in this edition of Auditing Insanity. Hendry dominates crowd-source market. It was another day of domination for Hendry on Friday, as his string of victories continued with a $260 take to bring his monthly total to $1,340 in just the first 3 days of the month. Hendry's reign was propelled by his weekly address early in the week, with his message of being a political prisoner resonating with his audience. As one observer noted, Hendry as political prisoner is making much more money than he was just another auditor. While donations seem to be cooling late in the week, we expect continued victories for Hendry's fund into the first days of the week, followed by a good deal of days of goose eggs until his next audio address from prison. Hendry is currently imprisoned after being found guilty of felony stalking and misdemeanor harassment charges in Vermilion County, Indiana. The YouTuber is facing 3 more sets of charges throughout the state of Indiana, with his next trial currently set for March for more felony charges out of Sullivan County. It's unclear if Hendry will make the $18,000 he needs to get the appeal on the docket by the time his current sentence is up, but at this rate, he'll have a clear shot at raising the money he needs if he can keep the donations coming in. While Hendry sat alone at the top of the GoFundMe charts on Friday, in distant second place came Liberty Troll without much reasoning for the donation, with $75 donations for the day. Liberty Troll was then closely followed by the Angry Vet, with a $25 donation on Friday. No other campaigns received donations for Friday.
Journalism is not free. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, keeping the cats fed and writing new stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, we do have a GoFundMe set up at the address on screen right now. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.
Floyd Wallace arrives in Brazil. Hates it immediately. Sex tourist Floyd Wallace surprised his fans on Friday by revealing he had been in Manaus, Brazil, since the first of the year and was having a completely awful time as the city had changed since the last time he was there. Wallace complained that the vibe had changed in the city and that tactics he used in previous visits didn't work on women now. He said that they were too Americanized and that cold approaching only resulted in a handful of numbers, but no real success in callbacks. He immediately complained that he had not had a sexual conquest since being in the country. Wallace made it clear that was growing frustrated that cold approaching and other tactics that he's relied on in his previous conquests were not working in the city. With frustration apparent in his voice, he put up still images of women he met in past trips. He stopped to complain about a super chat that said he was exploiting underage girls. Wallace then immediately displayed images of himself cuddling and holding women whose ages appeared to be much younger than his own. The YouTuber then went into a tirade about Avianca Airlines. He said that when he went to board the plane for Brazil, the airline refused to board him since he didn't have a return trip booked to the United States. Wallace lashed out at the airline's requirement that he spend another $572 on a plane ticket to return to the United States before it would let him fly to Manaus. Still upset, he said that he immediately canceled the ticket upon landing in the country and needed to stay 7 to 10 days for his refund to be issued by the airline. When asked about his finances, Wallace admitted that after the flight to Brazil, the flight to the United States, and paying for his current Airbnb, he was down to $900 in his bank account. While he assured his fans that he'd get the $572 back and that he was fine, he complained that no one was contributing to his ongoing campaigns. Lamenting to Psychic Jackie, he wondered aloud if his time in the travel space was done and threatened to change his foreign only into his third First Amendment auditing-themed reaction channel. Then wondered aloud what country he should go to after Brazil. After stating several names of countries, he finally settled on Kenya after he returned to the United States and settled all of his legal stuff. Part of that legal stuff would apparently be doing time for his crimes in Oklahoma from 2023, where he is still currently scheduled to have a jury trial towards the end of the month for an obstructing an officer charge. Wallace promised that he would no longer provide live videos of dates as his side chat was awful and treated the women without respect before he ended the live stream. Good Guy Activism streams to free DavidNewYork and NYC. The fallout from the arrest of the trio of Good Guy Activism, I Am God New York, and DavidNewYork NYC continued on Friday as Leonard Leroy Truth Filipowski joined Good Guy Activism to pay to have DavidNewYork released from jail. DavidNewYork had been in jail since a New Year's Eve confrontation with police that started when police approached Good Guy Activism and asked him to identify, as he was carrying a bottle that was concealed by a paper bag. Under New York law, concealing an open bottle of alcohol in a paper bag is still against the law, and police have the right to examine the bag and ask for a person's ID. Good Guy Audits refused to ID himself and said that the officer was in violation of the law as he was also holding an open drink. The officer replied that he was holding a coffee, which Good Guy Audits then claimed he was also holding a coffee as things escalated quickly. As police began to put handcuffs on Good Guy Audits to detain him, Good Guy Audits began to struggle with the officers. Good Guy Audits, who now claims he was only holding a bottle of water, tried to hand off the concealed bottle to either I Am God New York or DavidNewYork before being stopped by police. The concealed bottle seemed hard and not in the shape of a typical bottle or water, and again, did not explain the need to conceal the bottle from police. He also did not explain why the struggle with police should be ignored, as it was escalated by I Am God New York and DavidNewYork with their actions towards officer. One of the two men, again, assumed to be DavidNewYork, inadvertently struck an officer while the two officers were attempting to cuff Good Guy Activism. The second man was apparently taken into custody at the end of the video when he engaged with police who were moving him away from the scene. An Asian police officer can be seen in the man's face as he was ordered to move back and apparently was in the process of detaining the man when the camera went dark. Friday's live stream featured Good Guy Activism, who was released from jail on New Year's Day, speaking remotely to Filipowski, who was at a precinct arranging for the release of DavidNewYork from the Rikers Island Correctional Facility. The group eventually raised the $2,600 needed to release DavidNewYork, with an expected 3-hour delay between the bond being paid and the release of the auditor. DavidNewYork is expected to be in court on Monday, January 6, 2025, and Good Guy Activism will be in court on Tuesday, January 7, 2025.